Hey everybody, hope you guys are all doing safe. So this is the brand new M3 iPad Air. To be honest, this is almost literally just a silicon bump from the M2 iPad Air. Meaning everything about the tablet, from the display resolution to the display size, to the dimensions, to the in-hand feel, to the construction, are exactly the same as the last generation M2 iPad Air. The only thing new is the chip. It went from M2 to M3, and also there's like some new colorways, like this really nice light bluish color that I have. Otherwise, exact same tablet as last generation, just a new chip. Now, when you consider that the M2 iPad Air came out just 9 months ago, it's not even a full year yet, you may wonder, why do we need a new iPad Air already if it's only been 9 months and there's nothing new other than the chip? Well, there are a few reasons for that. Number one is that Apple's products are so mainstream that when Apple launches a new product, they're not just having this product appeal to people who own the previous generation. They're appealing to literally every mainstream consumer, because the iPad is the most popular tablet in the world and the iPad Air is the most popular model. So that means the iPad Air is by far the most popular tablet anywhere in the world. If I walk into a coffee shop and someone's using a tablet, like 75% chance it is an iPad. And so the M3 iPad Air is not really aiming at people who own the M2 iPad Air, but for people who own maybe an older iPad Air from 2022 or older, or someone buying a tablet for the first time, or somebody coming from an Android tablet. And obviously there's a lot to like with the iPad Air because it is the most popular iPad for a reason. In fact, even if you are one of those people who will upgrade from the M2 iPad Air to this guy, it is not like the most ridiculous upgrade, because the M3 actually does bring noticeable improvement over the M2, because Apple's silicon actually kind of move in 2-year cycles. So the M1 chip was the pioneering chip, then the M2 was just a little bit better than that, like a slight modified improvement, and then the M3 was the jump. The M2 was built on 5nm architecture, and the M3 was built on 3nm architecture. So in silicon technology, the lower the nanotecture number, the better it is, because that means the transistors are smaller, so there are more transistors you can fit onto one chip, which is more power. Now the M3 CPU, it's 15% faster than the M2 CPU, which is, it's not nothing, but it's not that big. Where the big jump is in GPU, graphical performance. The M3 is said to be over 80% faster or more powerful than the M2. That's because the M3 is the first Apple silicon to support on-device hardware accelerated ray tracing and mesh shading, which means when it comes to displaying 3D graphics, so whether it's in games or graphic intensive apps, the graphics have more realistic shadow and lighting. So this will mostly be noticeable if you're playing more graphically intensive games. But even if you're a graphic artist creating 3D designs, you should be able to see an improvement from the M3 over the M2. On top of that, the M3 is also said, by Apple to be built for Apple Silicon, meaning it runs Apple Silicon more natively than the M2 because it has a better neural engine inside. Now, to be honest, Apple Intelligence really it's a little bit behind right now compared to the stuff that Google is offering. So if you're someone who uses both ecosystems, Apple Intelligence isn't really that impressive. But this is, again, where I need to come in and say, Apple is the most mainstream product in the world. There are a lot of people that have just used Apple products, iPads, their entire lives. Like, most of my friends are like that. Like, they're not going to use a Xiaomi tablet or a Samsung tablet. So to them, having Apple Intelligence on an iPad, it's a big deal. Even if Apple Intelligence isn't as advanced as what Google's offering on the Android side. To them, it doesn't matter because they have and probably will not ever use an Android tablet. So Apple Intelligence includes a Siri that's a little bit more intelligent. You can ask it follow-up questions and it will understand. You also have generative AI object eraser, which Apple calls cleanup. So you jump into a photo, you can erase objects or subjects from the background, and Apple Intelligence will use generative AI to fill in the blank. And then there's also this thing called Magic Wand. When you're in the Notes app and you're sketching, you can use Magic Wand to essentially do sketch to image from what Samsung phones have been offering. So you can draw something, use your illustration prompt or text prompt to generate a realistic looking graphics. And there's also writing tools. So, you have a long chunk of text, you can have Apple Intelligence summarize that, or you're writing something, Apple Intelligence can help you rewrite that. So having superior GPU, which benefits gaming, graphic design, or for me, video editing, and also having Apple Intelligence does mean the M3 is a noticeable improvement over the M2 chip. Otherwise though, this tablet is exactly the same as the M2. The screen resolution, it's an IPS LCD panel, so it's a good looking screen, but definitely not as good as the iPad Pro or like the best Android tablets, but definitely it gets plenty bright outside. The animations are smooth even if it's only 60 Hertz. It's very comfortable to hold. I have the 11-inch model here. It weighs only 1.1 pounds, so very lightweight, which is good for me because I'm trying to downsize how much I carry when I go on work trips these days. And the reason I use an iPad, it's because of two things. Number one, Apple Silicon is still just more powerful than whatever the latest Qualcomm chip is. And number two, when it comes to apps, especially for tablets, the apps for the iPads are just much better than what's available on Android. Like for example, Instagram runs a lot better on iPad OS than on Android. And Twitter too runs better here. And a lot of graphic design apps or like photo editing apps, they just have more professional versions on iPad OS than on Android. That is why I still have to use an iPad for work, even though I've been testing a lot of excellent Android tablet. So I mean, yeah, even though the design is a little bit boring, like if you've seen an iPad Air in the past like 4 or 5 years, you will have seen this guy. There's almost absolutely nothing new when it comes to the looks or like how it holds in the hand. But this is still the most mainstream tablet for a reason. And Apple's also designed a new keyboard for this guy too. And it comes in the same new design that first made its debut with the M4 iPad Pro last year. So this is a slightly lighter, flatter design. The hinge opens a little bit more straight instead of like at an angle. You just snap on the iPad and just like that, you have yourself a laptop-like experience. This keyboard, it's spacious, the keys have a lot of travel, and this is the best trackpad in the industry. I've been saying this ever since the first Magic Keyboard came out. Apple's trackpad experience, for some reason, it's just more precise and more easy to use for me than any other Android tablet or Windows laptop even. Like even though it's smaller in size, I find myself navigating the mouse cursor better here than on like a 16-inch Windows machine. And the keyboard weighs about the same, like about 1 pound too. So that means combined right now, this guy is like under 2.3 pounds, which is lighter than most laptops. So that means I can just put this in my backpack, walk around all day and not feel stressed on my back. And that's important because I'm getting older, man. I don't want to lug around like a 3, 4, 5 pound laptop on my back as I walk around Barcelona like 10 hours a day. For the rest of this video, I'm just gonna edit this video that you're watching on this iPad Pro. Now, obviously, there's going to be some bits I have to edit elsewhere because obviously the part that I'm filming will have to be edited later, but you'll get an idea of how the workflow can be on the iPad Air if you are a creative individual. If you're someone who needs a on-the-go work machine for writing, for graphic design, photo editing, and video editing, this is still the best tablet in the world for that. So let's go do some video editing now. Alright, so I have a dongle attached to the iPad Air now to read the memory card. For videos, you can edit videos directly off the SD card or the external drive, but I prefer to load them onto the iPad first. This process, editing videos on a MacBook, it's going to be faster than on an iPad, but the point of doing it on an iPad is that it's much lighter, it's much smaller, and it's also like a do-it-all entertainment device. So when I go on work trips, I can just bring this guy to do my work. And also to do my fun stuff, like if I want to watch YouTube videos on the plane or play some games when I'm at the hotel. So it's just a little bit more versatile than bringing a MacBook, which is mostly just like a work device for me. And Final Cut Pro for iPad is very well designed to be used handheld. You have controls that are purposely placed on the left and right side so you can control them with your thumb, or you can put it on the keyboard and then just use your keyboard, trackpad, or like Apple Pencil and finger to edit. There's like multiple different ways to play with the timeline. And the way you edit on Final Cut Pro on iPad, it feels a little bit more tactile than on the MacBook. On the MacBook, it's you're clearly just using the keyboard and trackpad. But here, it's like you can touch it, you can physically move files around. It feels a little bit more organic, more tactile. All right, so this is the intro that I just shot. It went from M2 to M3. And scrub through the timeline, no lag. And also, if I hover my Apple Pencil above the timeline, I can scroll through the timeline and you can hear the audio too. Anyway, so the first thing I do when I load my A-roll, the talking part of the video on, is I have to go to inspect to do some noise reduction because there's like street noise because I film in public so much. So this is how I sound before I apply voice isolation. Bump from the M2 iPad Air, meaning everything. So you hear the background street noise, but if I hit this and then now I do it. About the tablet from the display resolution to now you only hear my voice, you don't hear the street voice that much. And I have to trim the opening because I usually take like a few ticks before I finish. So I can also move the UI around elements if I want the viewfinder to be a little bit bigger. I can just pull this timeline down, then the video becomes a little bit bigger. So I'll put some B-rolls on top to cover up. So one of the cool things about editing on the iPad over the Mac is that I can quickly add some illustration or add hand-drawn like arrows to the video. On a Mac, you could do that, but you'd have to buy a professional like drawing tool and then a lot of third-party software. Here you can do it just directly. So I have a screenshot that I'm gonna put into the video to show that iPads have been the best-selling tablets for basically like 14 years now. And I'm gonna hit done. And now when I play back this clip, you can just see that the live joints are like the iPad is the most popular tablet in the world, and the iPad Air is the most. So it's pretty cool. Another benefit of editing on an iPad is like if I really just wanted to add a quick video clip, say I want to get a close-up of the Apple Pencil, I can just film it with the iPad because it has a camera. A MacBook does not have that. So I can just open up the camera here, Pro Camera. And now I have the B-roll right here that I can immediately drag into the timeline. How cool is that? Okay, so I basically finished like 90% of the video now. You can see right now it's an 11 and 34 seconds long. And it's a multi-track video, 4K 30, like 2-3 tracks. I put on captions, special effects, all that. Adjusted the colors some. And now I'm going to export on the iPad Air over M3. And I'm going to unplug too, so I'm just going to do it all on battery, just to show you how efficient and fast Apple Silicon is. High quality. Yeah, highest quality basically. I'm gonna hit export. I'm gonna start a timer here. So I'm starting the timer a little bit late, but we'll just add like 5 seconds to whatever the finished time is. You see it's already at 6%, 7%. And obviously this last clip I have to then add on to the end. So this is not the final cut, but this is like a 98% final version of the video that will end up going on YouTube. 100. So it's finish, save video. So like I said, we're gonna add 5 seconds to this. So let's just say it rendered in 3 minutes and 50 seconds for an 11 and a half minute 4K 30 video, multi-track, multi-layer. So the video is right here. Here, we hope it's the most popular model. So yeah, this is the M3 iPad Air. Considering that this guy starts at $600 US in the US, and actually in Hong Kong, it's even a little bit cheaper. In Hong Kong, it starts at 4,600 Hong Kong dollars, which converts to 590 US dollars. It's like a really low price for a do-it-all machine. Now, to be fair, that price is for the base model, like 128 gig storage, and just the tablet, no keyboard. So you add on keyboard, add on Apple Pencil, double the storage. It's gonna come up to like $800, $850. That's still a pretty damn good deal considering how powerful the iPad is. Like again, I feel like I have to say this every single time I review a MacBook or an iPad, because there are a lot of reviewers out there who are clearly like Apple fans. Like, you know, like most of the US reviewers, especially the ones that like The Verge, CNET, they're all like just day-to-day life use Apple products everywhere. But I'm not like that. I actually carry an Android phone most of the time, and I am not deep in Apple's ecosystem. Like you don't see an Apple Watch on me. I don't use iMessage. So when I say the iPad or the MacBook are the best, that's because they are the best. And this M3, it's good enough for like 99% of people, man. The Pro is a better tablet, but it's for like real professionals. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this content. I have a lot more coming because the M4 MacBook Air, I have that too, so I will be reviewing that too pretty soon. And then I have the Huawei Trifold right here. This thing is so freaking cool. Like there's a lot of cool stuff I have right now that some I can't talk about yet. So just subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It will help me a lot. And you can keep up to date with all the latest in consumer tech. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.